Welcome back to One Comic Book a Day, where we're covering Adventure Comics 159, Superboy Millionaire. They do know he can just become a millionaire whenever he wants. He has a Rembrandt, which might not be $1 million at this time, but he has made gold. Am I just going to bring up the fact that he makes gold every episode now? Because he can just make gold. This is a story that I'm going to have to be careful with, because I feel like I'm negative towards it. And it's really unfair to the story, and sometimes I can be very unfair, but hey, this is my own review show, and I can say whatever I want about these comics. It is my feelings towards them. That is what a review is. There is no such thing as an objective review. That's not how reviews work. I don't know why I decided to get on this kick right now. On its head, it's a fine story. It's a story we've seen many times, not exactly in superhero stories, and I think that is where my problem is with it, is, well, what makes this a superhero story exactly? Why should we tell this with Superboy, and how do we Superboy up the story? And I think that's where they end up failing. But this is a story about, Clark being adopted by a millionaire. For example, as someone who grew up loving The Simpsons, there is, of course, Burns' Heir, which is pretty much the same basic idea of a story where Bart becomes Mr. Burns' heir, and Mr. Burns sort of manipulates him into becoming someone else. But in the way The Simpsons handles it, it's very much a Simpsons story. Here, I don't feel like we do enough to make it a Superboy story. And maybe we needed some more heroics and him using his powers. He's actually pretty light on that in this issue, though that's not necessarily a bad thing. I like sort of the small stories and the small stakes. But once again, I think you need to make it a Superboy story, and I don't think they succeeded in making it a Superboy story. Why exactly we're telling this with Clark Superboy, and what Clark learns at the end. I don't think he really learns anything at the end other than to stay true to himself, but he already wanted to do that. In fact, this entire story is just him kind of being annoyed. Clark's rich uncle is coming to dinner. Martha, who I'm not sure if she's named Martha right now. She's probably not named Martha right now. She's Ma Kent. Or at one time where she was Mary, and has possibly been referred to as Mary more times than that. I should have been keeping better tabs on their names. Like, I can never remember what Jonathan's name was in that story where Clark traveled back in time to find out why people were killing Kents. I want to say it was Zeke, but I could be wrong there. It's come up before. The rich uncle wants to make Clark his heir, but Clark doesn't want to be his heir. He wants to live with Ma and Pa Kent. But after an accident that Superboy gets involved in and saving him, he gets a very selective amnesia where he thinks Clark did agree to all of this. And because we need the story to happen, we can't tell him the truth or it might kill him. I think he needs to be staying at the hospital if it's that dangerous. So Clark has to go with everything he tells him to do, which involves him being dressing in a top hat and coattails with a cane and going to school like that, and giving up on his friend group, the Rangers. Maybe this would have hit harder if, say, we had ever met the Rangers before, and if the Rangers ever showed up again. His group of friends, the Rangers, who together are building like low-income housing, like volunteering to build housing. Good group. Like them. Just never going to show up again. It doesn't like hit as hard. Like, let's say in that Simpsons story where Bart's not going to be able to hang out with his family anymore. In fact, I don't even know we get a scene with him not being able to see the Kents, which would have really helped with some sort of emotional beat in here. Said he has to hang out with rich friends who are going boating and how stupid and dangerous they are. I actually kind of like that moment because, yeah, that feels right. I think that's pretty accurate on the stupid young boating kids. But a lot of it is just Clark going, okay, I'll go along with this. We know it's only going to take as long as the uncle being restored to normal. So Clark just needs to figure out a way around that. Nothing about this is him making a specific choice that's fundamentally changing him. He's just going along with everything until he can finally fix it. It's an annoyance. It doesn't really tell a story about who he is specifically. I think we had found a way to make Clark go with this in a way where he's making a choice, even if it's like a bad choice, where I'm annoyed with him in that story, where he's getting gifts because he cares about the gifts, but at least he's making a choice and that's motivating his actions in the story. His choice here is more of an ultimatum. He didn't really have a choice. He wants to help his uncle Kendall. And because of that, well, you don't really learn much about him, and none of this feels particularly eventful because nothing is being learned. We're just waiting around until he finally is able to figure out a way out of this. And he does that by putting his uncle into another accident because it's in the 1950s. He's going to do something absolutely insane. But on its face, I don't think it's a bad story. I just don't think they figured out a way to tell this specific story with Superboy. They just kind of told a bare bones story that could have worked with any character. I think we need to go back to the drawing board and think about what we want to specifically say with Superboy having to become a rich man's heir. Okay, that is it from Adventure Comics 159. Superboy Millionaire. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe with the bell icon to get notifications when new video goes up. I do this Monday through Friday, but Fridays is Bat Friday, where I cover a Batman story, either Detective Comics or Batman. And until next time, let's ponder the question, whatever did happen to the boy of tomorrow. What's ever going to happen to his Uncle Kendall? I think we're never going to see him again, though he had been really useful for some moments later on in the Superman canon. Okay, have a great day.